2.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show. Tonya Esquibel here every Saturday from noon to 1, the original real estate show, probably almost about 18 years now. Happy and blessed to have Kim Hollingshead, my co-host this year. We started together last year. Her jumping in and joining in to bring some passion and education to all of our listeners. She's a real estate attorney with Hollingshead and Associates. I'm with Cross Country. My full-time job is mortgages. I know we just announced I'm going to be running for councilwoman last week for District 17. So adventurous. Now I can join the graduation club with my Christian leadership degree from Trevecca. So we're breaking a lot of records already hitting That's 2023. Right. So, but I am so excited. I said our theme for the show for the month of February was really to provide a local source from local experts that really understand this market, negotiating, navigating those waters with transactions. What are they seeing with buyers, sellers? From an interest rate standpoint, we've already started to see those come down. So a lot of exciting things coming into 2023 compared to a year ago, when we were like, oh my gosh, what is happening with interest rates, and the multiple bids were still going crazy. So from the last third and fourth quarter of 2022 was a really challenging. And so coming into this first quarter, everyone, is leaning on what is this going to look like with housing. And I've been really feeling excited because I think sometimes when there are challenges, that's where you can find the most opportunities too. And that's where it leads you back to working with the experts that are in the field, looking out for your best interest, educating you so that way you know how to make the best decisions. So super excited that that's our theme this month. And Kim, I know that you have a long-term relationship with these wonderful guests today, and Michael and Amy Gomez. I'm so excited to have you guys on. Yes. I got to meet them last year through your connection, and just been watching them from afar. I know Michael can even do stuff in Florida, so we've talked about that, and that is on our show coming up in February too, if you want to buy in Florida, because that's still a really good market. So anyway, I'm going to let you kind of lead the conversation so they can introduce themselves and go from there.
It's my pleasure. So Michael Gomez, Amy Gomez, they are the owners of Hive Nashville, which is a fantastic real estate company. It opened last year, although Michael, you've been in real estate for a long time. I know you have a long work history before getting into real estate, and I would love to touch on that a little bit because I think our listeners are just going to be so entertained by your story of how you kind of went from one to the other. It is the most entertaining story about how someone got into real estate. And what I was just telling Tonya is I think that you guys really bridge the gap between residential and commercial, because you guys, anyone who checks out your Facebook page or they check out your recent listings, they're going to see anything from a 12-unit condo complex, brand new construction, new development, investment properties, even commercial, and then of course a family home.
And a farm in Linville, Tennessee, which we're about to list for 127 acres. But we are so thrilled to be here, Amy and I. We want to thank you so much for having us come and share a little bit of our story, and so that everybody that hears this amazing show, which I've heard driving around on Saturdays over here in Nashville, can get to know us a little bit and hopefully learn from even some of our mistakes and our experience. And so thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, we're honored to have you guys. All right, so tell us a little bit about just the beginnings. Are you where are you from?
Yes, so Michael Gomez. I am originally from the Dominican Republic, which is in the Caribbean, next to Haiti, close to Puerto Rico, close to Cuba, close to Jamaica. And I came here to the United States, even though I used to come here and there as a tourist growing up, and I have family in New York, like most Dominicans. But I met a wonderful singer from Maine, from the state of Maine, in the Dominican when I was 23 years old, I'm going to say. And he had just become, he had a drug addiction, basically. And he felt that God wanted him to go to the Dominican Republic, of all the places in the world, okay? So he went there on a self-made mission trip to help out a missionary and said, hey, I'm here. I just want to, get back to the Lord. I want him, how can I serve? During that time, we met. And I thought he was a great guy and a great singer. And then the Lord delivered him from that addiction that he had there. Mm-hmm. And then at one point, it's like, hey, you play really good guitar. You want to come play guitar with me here and there, like United States? Like, I've been selected to play this Christian talent search competition. And I said, sure, I'll go to Nashville. And like, I remember I didn't have any money, but I sold one of my guitars and I bought the plane ticket. So I ended up here in Nashville.
That's a great story.
Search. I don't want to make the story super long about that, but eventually we did not win anything in that competition. There were 3 spots and we got like 4th place. But however, we were still pretty encouraged, and I went back to Dominican, he went back to Maine, and then that summer we got together again in Maine, where I was a landscaper in his company that he had out there. We would landscape during the week, and then we'd go play music wherever we could go on the weekends, churches, youth groups, celebrate recoveries, even places that didn't want us, bars, wherever. We just wanted to go play our music, tell people about Jesus, and that was awesome. Eventually, that band got a record deal here in Nashville years later, and that's how we ended up here to work with a record label called Centricity. They were amazing. The band Unspoken, still out there, and they're still out playing. But in 2017, after 15 years, I remember I turned 40 years old. We had our 3rd child, Nash, and I sold 71 homes that year as an individual from the back of that tour bus, basically.
Wow.
So I remember saying, God, I'm good, but I'm not this good. You know, something's is gonna not end up well here in this everything going full speed ahead. So I decided to step aside from playing live, and we got a meeting with the band and everything. You know, it was sad, especially when you do something for so long. Your identity is so intertwined with it. So I was Mike from Unspoken, and eventually I'm just Mike. You know, you have to find yourself. But I was already very intertwined with real estate. I got my broker's license, not with the intention to open up my own brokerage. That was like the furthest thing in my mind, to open up a brokerage. I just wanted to learn more so I can serve my clients better. And by that time, I was already serving a lot of clients that wanted to build their rental portfolios. They wanted to buy multifamily. And as I was buying for them, I was also learning, you know. I remember first time that a client asked me, this is my first year in real estate, and I'm with a client, and she's asking me, so we have a 1031 exchange going or whatever. You know what that is? And I had no clue what that was, and I'm looking in the computer, 1031 exchange, and I'm like, 1031? I do this all the time.
Yeah. I used to fake it until I made it too, right?
That's right.
Well, yes, I am a lawyer.
So
yes,
in the middle of that, obviously, Amy and I have been together for almost 18 years. We got married.
We met up in Maine, which is where I'm from,
Yeah.
and very handsome Hispanic guitar player.
Yeah, a little bit of
Played
the
at a
extra.
coffee house
I've always
that I
been a
was
little bit
working
extra.
at.
So you met him when he was singing.
Singing,
She
and
booked our band.
booked their
Wow.
band to come to play at a coffee house that I was managing. So it was an after-school program for kids, and you know, we had music all the time. So that's how we met. We just kind of kept in touch, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, I was like, she's so hot. She loves Jesus, and she gave me a green card. I was like, yeah. It's like
And this
the
is the
Holy
joke.
Trinity trifecta.
The last
going
18
on.
years.
Here we are, 3 kids later.
Oh wow!
Yes.
So now, and Amy, you do dabble in a little bit, right? Just a slight bit in interior design.
Yes. So I've always been an artist,
I say that
creative.
sarcastically,
I
by the
know,
way,
but
because you are such a great artist.
thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, my love for design really started when I was young. I've always been an artist. My uncle was a painter, and I learned to paint from him. Just anything creative was right up my alley. So when we, bought our first home, I really just went crazy. I just loved decorating, and I did.
It's like, what is going on?
And I need more money.
You had to go sell 5 more homes, right?
Yeah, sell some more houses.
Dear Lord.
But I did. I just found that I loved it, and soon it just became a thing where we had investment properties and Airbnb, and so I just kind of was able to expand my creativity and my experience, and soon it was just word of mouth. And after probably about 5 years, we decided to do a TV show. I don't know if you guys have heard,
Yes,
but it
we're
was
gonna talk about
HGTV.
that.
All right, we'll come back to that. But also after that, started my own design firm. So the last 2 years I've been building that, and it just really came out of it's very complementary to what Michael does in real estate, and so I think we make a good team.
I'll say this: it's so fun to have to be married to a designer. One time we went to the 1230 Club here in Nashville. I was like, "Can you turn my recording studio so that we have this vibe?" And then I forgot about it. And one day I went out to the Dominican Republic for a couple of days. I come back and my studio looks like the 1230 Club. I was like, all right, I don't have to pay. Well, I paid for the furniture, but I didn't have to
Yeah.
pay for the.
Right.
Yes.
Might be of the year.
I know.
Surprising.
It was fun.
That's awesome. All right, we got to take a break right now. Stay tuned. We'll come back with more with the Gomez's and learn more about their journey in real estate and the different businesses that they represent. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show here every Saturday from noon to 1. If you would like to find out your purchasing power, maybe have some real estate questions, give us a call, 615-300-0794, 615-300-0794. My co-host Kim Hollingshead with Hollingshead & Associate and with us, and we have the wonderful Gomez's that are sharing their story of how they got to Nashville, and now I think we're going to be talking about this really cool TV show, so take it away.
Yeah. So you guys were on an television show. HGTV is the name of the network. And it's called Flipping Showdown. And it was a competition style show. Please tell us, how did you get roped into doing a TV show?
So weird because, my Instagram at Michael Gomez Broker is very fun to follow because I have a mix of family, dog, business, and music and whatever shenanigans is happening. So it's not like, just real estate, like, hey, here's a house, or whatever. Anyways, I used to have the hashtag selling Nashville every time I did something. And I guess one time I got a message on my Instagram saying, hey, my name is whatever. And I'm I book talent for HGTV and I think you'd be great for this show that we're planning to. I was like, yeah, whatever. Because like who's gonna hit you up on Instagram to tell me that some TV show, but I was like, all right, well, give me a call, we talk, and then he called me and I was like, he's like, yeah, we booked for a Big Brother, we booked for this, and I was like, okay, well, I'm interested if my wife can be a part of it. And then I said, by the way, just so you know, my son has called me the anti-handyman because even though I'm Hispanic, okay, I am terrible at fixing anything. I mean, Amy does everything around our house, like hammers, and I'm like, I don't want to nail that because what if I smash my finger and I can play guitar? I'm like major wuss when it comes to that. The other day, I fixed what did I fix? I fixed the toilet, and I was like, I wanted to put it like in my face, but I fixed the toilet or something because it was like a big deal that I actually fixed something with my hands. So I told him what I am. I'm a master delegator, which is what my Instagram bio says. I know how to get it done by using people that are really good at that. And then I put all that together and I manage that and something beautiful comes out. That's what I really do. So I told him, if you want somebody that's like making a bench out of like a pile of like whatever, that is not me.
Right.
I'm not that guy. But my wife, she can hold it down. So
Yeah, that's
we
funny.
went through a
Make a good
grueling
team.
interview process.
We did. There was probably 7 or 8 interviews, and at the end of the day, we found out it was going to be filmed in Atlanta, so we'd have to move for a few months, and this was in the middle of COVID as well, so we were homeschooling the kids, and but it all kind of came together and said, you know what? When do you get an opportunity like this? We should do it.
We moved to Woodstock,
And they
Georgia.
picked us.
Woodstock.
Yeah. Woodstock, Georgia, which is a lovely town. I would totally live there. It's beautiful. It has a brewery in the middle. It's just great. Real estate's popping. And we were there with Anita and Ken Corsini, which is a great host of the TV show. We learned a lot from them. And it was a great experience. We were battling with 2 other teams, Pair Brothers and a couple from Ohio.
And we flipped 3 houses in 3 months.
Yes. In the
Wow.
show, it seems that we're flipping one house at a time. Reality, we're flipping those 3 houses at the same time in a city that we didn't know, with a crew we didn't know, with a very small budget. It was pretty fun.
Wow.
But
did
we
have
had
a
the
ton.
most fun of anyone.
I say we had the most fun of everybody in that show.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you guys are such a great pair. You guys have fun no matter what.
Yes.
So, selling 71 homes from a tour bus in your first year in real estate.
That wasn't my first year. That was
Oh,
like my
okay.
6th year or something.
Okay,
like
so
that.
you're well into it.
Yeah.
But 71 homes makes you a top producer.
I guess so. I mean, back then it was something. It was a big deal. I was
Yeah, it
getting
is.
awards and stuff. I still get awards, but now you kind of get used to them. It's like,
Yeah.
another award. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing it for a bigger purpose
Yeah, so
now.
what I
so
learned
awards
was
are nice.
the power of delegation and to be able to find really good agents that you would say, hey, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to give you 45% of this transaction that or buyers already pre-approved. I just need you to go show the houses, write the contract. I'll oversee it. I was still kind of being a broker or a team leader without even knowing it. And eventually I did have a team of 5 agents under me during that time. And now some of those agents have their own teams now and they work in different. It makes me so proud. Every time I would get a new agent, I would say, shake my hand. I wouldn't even have him sign anything. I just ask you to be with me for 2 years because after 2 years, you're going to know what I know. and you're not gonna want to be under me. You're gonna have your own thing going, and that is okay with me. I want you to understand that, but I do need 2 years because I'm gonna be putting a lot of time and a lot of effort, and you're gonna have access to my brain and how I do things, and I need that commitment from you. So it was great, and then eventually having a team was kind of like difficult once I started selling more investments and Airbnbs and working with developers. So I kind of disbanded that. And then I was a Benchmark, great real estate company. Then eventually Compass came and offered me all kinds of stuff. I was like, okay, this is great. And after a year, I can move along if I don't like it. So I did 2 years at Compass. Again, great company, great technology, which I barely used, but it was good technology. And then a lot of my developers kept asking me like, hey, why don't you just do your own thing? Like, I have about 500 new listings in my pipeline right now, new construction for the next couple of years. And they're like, what do you need? Like another, and then I started building in Mexico and in the Dominican, and we partner up with a property management company. And as you may know, brokerages don't like to have agents that are dealing with property management. That's all liability.
That's right.
And stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? It's time for me to go ahead and get my wings. It's always scary to go on your own. But I didn't have any like super high expectations. It was just me, my brother, and my assistant Brenda. That's amazing. Brenda,
we love Brenda.
Everybody loves Brenda. She's 72 years old, and I always kid around with her. She's like real estate license number 4 or 5, but I just like to mess with her. And it took me 10 days to open up my brokerage. From the day I say, Brenda, help me open up a brokerage. After 10 days, I had the brokerage open. She's that good, and she's like a mama. And she's one of the few people in this world that actually says no to me. And I was like, oh, no. I love her. You mean I can't do that? And she speaks very southern. No, young man, you can't do that. I was like, I can't? Is that illegal? Brenda.
She keeps you on the straight and narrow.
She keeps me on the straight and narrow. And it's great. And sometimes I don't understand what she's saying. I still say yes. So it's like, she's very southern.
Yeah, she's an amazing person.
What is the inspiration behind the name that you came up with?
Hive, to be honest, is very hard to name a business. Right now we can't talk about which business we're opening soon, but it's very hard to come up with any name. Like you can right now just straight up like Google like crap realty and it's taken.com. Craprealty.com. Somebody has it. Whatever realty So I was selling a complex in Tulum, Mexico called Hive, and then I was like, okay, Hive, of course, Hive Realty is taken. So I'm like, well, what a Hive Nashville? This is a great concept for a brokerage because you have a lot of busy bees working towards a common good. And it's just like you work, and now everybody's working kind of together, which is what I really like about what we're building at Hive. It's like, I'm going to call it Hive Nashville. And then, we've been buying domains, Hive Chattanooga, Hive Mexico, Hive en Espanol, Hive Clarksville, Hive whatever, Yeah. And eventually, if we want to keep growing, which we're not there yet. We're at 22 agents now. Again, it's just a dream come true. For us, I didn't create this brokerage to even have 5 agents, but the way we're going to do it, I think we're probably going to be one of the top brokers, if not the top here in just a couple of years because of what we're going to offer to the agents. So.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And because you have this unlimited mindset, we were talking about mindset a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, mindset is so important. And you know this, and we've talked about this. I said to Amy one time, I said, the thing about Michael is that there's nothing he can't do. There's no star he won't reach for. He really believes it's all at his fingertips and he can access anything he wants.
And it's bad sometimes. My poor wife, every day I have a new idea. Sometimes it's crazy. The other day it's like, hey, let's start a business where people drop their like high-end sneakers and somebody cleans them for 20, 30 bucks and then it's going to be in all the malls and then we're going to sell for like 80 million franchise. And she's just looking at me like, okay.
Well, now I just learned to don't be the party pooper. Just
do you just listen and encourage?
If it's supposed to be, it will be, and I don't have to do it all. Because before I used to be like, oh man, that's a lot. Who's going to do that? That's a lot of work. We just have different ways of looking at it. But now I'm like, go for it. If it'll happen, it'll happen, and it will be awesome if it happens.
Yeah, and look at how far you've come in just. You opened your brokerage a year ago.
1 year ago in January, yes.
Yeah, it's just been 1 year.
And we were just talking about how it's been 10 years since you started real estate and how far we didn't own a home back then. We didn't have, we were living paycheck to paycheck at that point.
I was making $1,000 a week, a month, $1,000 a month playing guitar with a Christian band. And Amy I
was working for a nonprofit.
So she was making like minus 200 a week.
It's not, we weren't in it for the money at that point.
No, we've never been. So the thing is, even when we rented a 1-bedroom apartment in Spring Hill, we were so happy then. Money has been great to be able to own all these properties. It's great, but the happy meter, it's always been there. Whether we've been in a one-bedroom apartment with our firstborn, or now in our huge house that our kids and the dog like put upside down every day, like. It's always been great.
And you're so fun, you're so entertaining that that this point may be overlooked, but you are really, truly an expert in real estate.
Yes.
There is really no question that anyone can call you and ask you about real estate. You're going to have an answer for them.
Just about. It is true. And I have friends of mine that don't even work at my brokerage that still call me almost every week. Hey, I'm going through this. I don't want to even ask my broker, what do you think I should do? And I'm like, well, off the record, this is what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, someone could just bring you a piece of raw land, and you're going to be able to tell them the highest and best use for that land, how much the units are going to sell at the end, run a pro forma. I mean, you can take that baby all the way to the final unit sales.
And give it to them in a way where, like, hey, this might not be what you want to hear, and some other agents might tell you otherwise, but this is my opinion based upon this data that's right here.
Right.
Look at this. Like, why are we going to go list $800,000 more when your land's smaller than the one that sold next door, that when that one was entitled and you just have and I help them like understand that not all real estate is made equal, even though if it's right next to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Because, most people want to sell for the highest they can, but because they're just looking at assumptions versus having the data at their fingertips. It's really good.
For this much and that, and I'm like, well, your cousin had a finished basement. Whatever, it's always different.
Same with mortgages. My cousin got a 2% rate, and he's got an 800 score, and you've got a 5%. No, just kidding.
Why are you talking to me then? I would straight. Why are you talking to me?
Yeah. All right. We got to take a break, and we come back. We'll continue to talk about real estate, and really more so about Hive Nashville, some of the projects that you guys have going on, and just where is consumer confidence right now that you're seeing out in the marketplace. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show. Tonya Esquibel, Southeast Regional Producing Manager with Cross Country Mortgage, helping families around Middle Tennessee since 1997. Kim Hollingshead in studio with me with Hollingshead and Associate Real Estate Attorney. Michael and Amy Gomez with the owner broker of Hive Nashville. Such a fun journey getting to hear about, how you got to Maine, how you guys met in Maine, how you've started this wonderful career, your show on HGTV. That sounded like that was a lot of fun, flipping those houses. So what I would like for us to talk about during this segment is a little bit more about Hive Nashville, some of your successes. And I know that you're growing very rapidly within a little over a year and opening up your own brokerage. And then also consumer confidence. I get asked that a lot too. So I just kind of want to hear some of your opinion due to all your success that you've been doing in real estate here in Nashville, selling 71 homes out of the back of your tour bus, like your fourth year. Yes. And then I know you've got some other great companies and stuff to talk about too. So I'll just kind of let you guys kind of share with us a little bit more about your vision for Hive, and then just kind of what you're seeing in the market coming into the first quarter of this year.
So our vision for Hive was to be able to create a brokerage where, number one, every agent will learn to be an investor and to work with investors, because we're very investor friendly. We analyze deals, pro formas, cap rates. We speak that language like it's our second nature or whatever. And we also want them to become influencers. We believe that if you don't have a voice in social media in the next 5 years, no matter how good you are, you're gonna get drowned. So you want to learn tools to like be able to create, your outlet to be out there giving out good content, not just putting out content to put it out, but talking about relevant things like buyer confidence and things like that. And talking about that, what we've seen on the residential side of things is that in the past month, it's just been incredibly busy. Not just me personally, but all my agents, like everybody after, the Christmas vacation happened, everybody came in and I feel like people just noticed that the rates were stable. It's not that it even went down like crazy, like in the fours, but they're like, hey, you know what? I guess that's it. And then another thing is that the home prices didn't like drop like they shut down like $50,000, $80,000. So everybody's like, okay, and then houses started going off market.
Yep.
And then I even drove by an open house the other day. There were 4 cars out there. And then I was like, start thinking, it's like, well, I got 5 buyers this week, like approved and ready to go. And then the investors are still out there. The only issue with the investment properties right now that I see is that, when you buy as an investor, your rate's going to be higher. So if your rate's in the 7s, and you analyze a rental property in Spring Hill, Columbia, or whatever, you might not have that cash flow that you would have if you were in the 4.8, 5, or whatever. So a lot of investors are still like, hey, I need to move some money, and they're focusing more in the potential appreciation or chance to refinance later on than the actual cash flow. And that's a hard pill to swallow when you're an investor, because you want that cash flow. So now it's like learning, okay, well, there's not going to be that much cash flow, but I don't want to put money in my stocks or crypto. Lord, no. I still want to be investing in real estate. What is the best deal out there? Airbnbs are still great, but they're kind of high. Everybody's listing almost as high as they can. You can buy in the high ticket price that people would have paid last March of 2022 because the rates were low. Well, now that price range might not work even to cover your debt service.
Right, because the rates are up.
So I'm helping my clients that build short-term rentals. I'm helping them do the math backwards before they even start. I'm like, hey, let's run this as if we were buying this and running it through a mortgage underwriter. What we feel this projection that we got, first of all, is the projection realistic from the property management? So get 3 different property management companies to give you projections, and then get the average of that. Now you say, okay, now I have a figure. This unit is going to make $100,000 gross a year, and then let's start taking that apart. So how much can we list that property if it's going to make 100 gross after you take 15-20% management fee, cleaning fees, and everything? Whatever is left, is that enough cash flow to justify you putting 20% down for that investment? So that's what we're doing now. So we're working a little bit harder to just prove if it's a good deal, and a lot of them are not good deals. So I'm like, hey, this is going to be a good deal if you're going to give it some personal use. And rates go down. There's a lot of factors that could factor in, but this is not going to make you rich right now, like if you would have bought a year or 2 ago, or even in this building that we're in here at Illum. I remember we saw a unit here, it was $350 pre-sale. Well, now they're $585. And I was telling him, hey, I'm walking here. I was like, we should have bought here. But then again, anything that we would have bought that year, it's the same story. So it's like, really, it's whatever. Right. Our first rental we ever bought 7 years ago, our rate was
this is a good example. I think
5.
it was 5.5.
And it was $45,000 Fannie Mae foreclosure in Nashville. Wow. And had I been focused on that rate, I wouldn't have bought it. Right. Well, we owe $31,000 on that loan right now, and that house will appraise for $250 right now. Right. So check out that appreciation that we would have missed had we been focused on the interest rate. Yeah. That is what I honed down over and over and over and over. Think about now what we're buying now, and now let's try to see in the future 10 more years. Yes. We're gonna be like, I should have bought this, I should have bought that, I should have bought this, I should have bought that. And we're going to be like, hey, we had this conversation. If we're still here, Lord willing, we're going to be, remember the time we talked about, paying $500 for the unit that you would have paid $300 4 years ago, but the interest were high, and now this unit is $800 or $850 or $900. Should we bought a place in 38 that doubled in price in the middle of Corona? In the middle of Corona, we paid $525, and now it's $1,050,000. Wow.
Yeah, there are some hidden little gems in the math that you may not know if you just Google this information online. You really need to sit down with an expert
you need to talk to an expert. You need to talk to Tom. You need to talk to Kim. I mean, Kim, you're a Boston investment. You need to talk to real estate. So not all real estate agents are the same. And there's not a bad or good. It's like you have litigation attorneys, you have real estate attorneys, right? So why are you going to go to a litigation attorney and talk to them about real estate? You don't. Yeah. You normally don't. You go and say, hey, who do you know that's really good at real estate? And then they say so and so. It's the same with real estate agents. You have residential agents. If you want to talk investments, you want to come to Hive Nashville, because this is mostly what we do.
Definitely. Yeah. And just in our personal lives, being investors, we have that experience and we've seen it all at this point. So that really helps. And also, married couple point here, I know that when we started getting into real estate, I was the one who didn't have the knowledge, and I wasn't, why are we going to be doing this? Why are we spending money on houses? And really the best thing you can do is educate yourself. Get if you don't understand, find an expert, read up on it, hang around people who are into it, and soon that door will open and you will understand and you will be excited about it.
Yeah, because it's the unknown. It's like, hey, why are we doing this? I remember giving her a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Read.
First book, yeah.
She read it and she's like, okay, I understand.
I'm on on
out what
board.
you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me more, whatever, and then you have those conversations, and there's Bigger Pockets podcast. There's meetups. There's Rain here in Nashville. We do a Hive Mastermind that we open up for the public. Every
and
couple
that's
months.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
going to
it's
be
like you do have to
great
educate
resource.
yourself. It's not something that you just want to wing it because
Right.
it can cost you a lot of money.
It can, if you make
can
the
get
wrong
you in trouble,
choice.
too. There are people like, hey, I want to buy this house to Airbnb. Well, do you have the right zoning? What do you mean? You think because this is our world, we assume that everybody knows all the legislations and all the
That's
rules
right.
about everything. We assume that people know that they shouldn't buy a new car in the middle of buying a house.
Right.
We assume all these things.
Yeah,
And
but they don't. And it's okay. They're not supposed to.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's like this is our world. We walk in it every day. So for us, it's like normal.
Right.
But we have to always like be reminded. Hey, by the way, you don't want to be like hitting 4 different mortgage lenders because everybody's gonna do hard pull before you know it. Your credit might take a hit or whatever it is advice that you give. So I would say always find the best on the field that you're trying to find because not
Yes.
everybody's good at the same thing.
And
Yeah.
such a good test is, can you run the math for me on a napkin right here? Do we have to get up from the table, or you know what I mean? Like if we have to get up and you've got to do some research and make some calls in order to, run the math for me, then
Yeah.
you may not be the right fit for an investment property. And what I also love is that you guys work globally. So you have this global mindset, you have a global perspective.
Yeah.
It's not even just about Nashville or just about Tennessee. Because like you were discussing, cap rates here in Nashville can be challenging, right? But we may go to a market like Chattanooga, like Decatur, Alabama is a good
Kentucky,
one.
which is not even
Kentucky's
that
got some
far.
great markets. And so if you can't find something or you don't see something that you love here in Nashville, it's giving you the right ROI, then maybe, take a look at another market and you can help them with that. Or even another country. You sold something in Tulum, Mexico.
Yeah. So we
Wow.
started going out of the country too, venturing out because we love vacation rentals.
Yes.
If you're like me, every time you go on vacation to a really awesome place, you're always looking at home prices. That is almost like a hobby.
only
100%. We are always doing that.
This is so beautiful.
And even
Someone's obsessed.
and even going to the open houses to see the designs, the styles, 100%.
Obviously, being that I'm international, I'm foreign, and third world countries, or not even third world, because I wouldn't say Mexico's third world country, but Dominican is. It's like it could be very tricky to buy real estate in that country.
Yeah.
Different laws, different rules. You don't even know if you're actually buying what you think you're buying. So I wanted to learn a whole bunch about Mexico because it was always kind of taboo. It's like, well, can you buy in Mexico? I'm an American. I read that Americans can't buy in Mexico. And yes, you can. You
Yes,
just have to
they
create
can.
kind of a company vehicle, fideicomiso it's called. It's basically like a trust. Then the trust
Can
buys
buy the
real
property.
estate, and then you own the trust. And that's kind of how it is. So it's that, I learned a lot about it and, opened up the doors. And now we're working on a portal to be able to educate everybody and how to make that
And how to
process
do
easy.
that. That's awesome.
Right.
Great information. We got to take a break and we come back. I want to talk to you a little bit more about recommendation. And Kim, you could probably tie into this too when it comes to, is it in your personal name? Is it in an S Corp? Is it in a trust? And what you advise based upon what that individual's goals are and now what country that is. So stay tuned. You're listening to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show here every Saturday from noon to 1. I'm with Cross Country Mortgage, helping families identify the best mortgage plan for them. Everyone's financial DNA is different. Give us a call. We would love to help you see what home ownership looks like, whether it's your first home, a move-up home. Maybe you're looking at diversifying your portfolio, wanting to do more investments. If you are, we've got the great investment real estate team on board with us today with Hive Nashville, and just want to provide education. You can always give us a call, 615-300-0794, 300-0794. Kim Hollingshead, real estate attorney, Hollingshead & Associates, as my co-host. And we're kind of wrapping up our show today. Some great information. Thank you guys so much, because I know we're going to get to talking because there's so much value that you guys are giving to our listeners. So I just want to make sure that I give gratitude and thank you guys for taking the time to come in and share your knowledge with our listeners. And also, when it comes to investment, that's where we're at right now. So also coming to investment, one of the questions I get asked a lot on the mortgage side is, can I put it in my LLC? Can I do it in my S Corp? What about, can it be for a trust? So from the mortgage standpoint, if it's a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or what we call our traditional mortgages, it has to be personal name or trust, or you have options to go to a bank and get a commercial loan to do your S Corp or LLC. So knowing you have a global presence with investments, that's the foundation of your real estate brokerage. What do you usually recommend to your investors when you're looking at that and trying to figure out, because we know rates have risen, what do you recommend? How do you get to that final decision of this is what you should do to protect, in case something happened, they wouldn't get sued, things like that with Airbnb?
Is always the best answer. Ask your title attorney or your attorney.
Ask him.
That is what I say. I am not an attorney. I can tell you that I've closed with LLCs. I've never closed with an S Corp. I've closed in my personal name for lending purposes also, because hey, there's going to be a difference. If you're going to do an LLC loan, I'm not a lender, so I'll say ask your lender, but most likely you're going to have higher interest rate.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't even do it. Sometimes you got to have to go to the local bank, Pinnacle, Bank of Tennessee, whatever, to be able to do a commercial loan. So depending on the situation, obviously it was big on the short-term rental Airbnb world to buy under an LLC, because if something happens, you can sell the LLC. Those that did that, a lot of them ended up in the good, and sometimes it backfired, because now I have there's a district that changed zoning for NS, which is no short-term rental, and they have it under an LLC. If they would change to a regular name now, they wouldn't. It just got really complicated. They can't get a permit because it's an LLC, because now there's only owner occupants in there.
Okay.
They have to do all this shenanigans to be able to get there.
To re-record their deed to owner occupy?
Always ask an attorney that specializes in real estate. Not just a regular attorney, but somebody like Kim that knows, that's an investor herself. Always ask who you're working with, if they own property too, if you're buying investment properties. Maybe it's not so much in the lender side of things. If you're working with an agent, they're helping you build your investment portfolio, rentals or whatever. Ask them if they own. That's not wrong to ask. Hey, how many do you have? And so on with your attorney. Hey, have you walked through this? It's a little bit easier. I'm not saying you can't walk through it if you don't own, but it's definitely easier because you've already gone yourself through this process. You've already walked the path that they're about to walk.
Yeah, because if your practice is really focused on residential and you're turning and burning just residential closings one after another, and somebody comes to you with a question on a development or an investment property, you're not going to be able to really, have that knowledge to answer the question. The same thing with a real estate agent as well, and a brokerage, right? You want to make sure you're working with, because one size does not fit all in real estate. We know that, right? So anybody who's looking, but you guys do represent regular home buyers and sellers, and I know that you do that, and you work with a lot of builders as well.
Absolutely, we do residential all day long. For us, we love it, and we find so much purpose in that. Like when my friend who's a police officer in Berry Hill bought his first home, and we were there, and we also represent a lot of minorities. We're really big in the Hispanic market here. So we have a lot of first home buyers that for them it's like the biggest thing in the world to be able to buy their first home. It reminds me when we bought our first house, it was like, oh my gosh,
it's a dream come true. Yep.
We're buying a house, and now we can have this equity and start working on generational wealth. Because for me, owning real estate, it is the biggest key, the biggest portal for generational wealth. Everything else can almost simmer down or go through your hands, but a piece of real estate, a house, that thing 20, 30 years from now, I've never seen it. Where somebody that bought 30 years ago and now their asset is worth less. That's just not how real estate works. It's the opposite. Oh, my granddaddy bought this land for $7,500. It's now $1.2 million. That's what I hear.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they can take that land and come bring it to us, and we're going to turn it into a $20 million piece of land.
Absolutely.
Right? That's what we do here.
That's exactly what we do. We look at a land and we're like, well, this is what you can do. And we also add the element of what would serve the community better. We work really with the council person, woman, or anybody that's there, and with the community also. Hey, you know what would you like to see here? We try to always be respectful and do, what do you call it? Development, not reasonable, sustainable development.
Sustainable growth we talked about.
Responsible development is what I was looking for.
It is so important. And I love that you guys do have that heart for helping people, and that you have a purpose of building wealth. And I always say that, it's the keystone. Real estate is the keystone to building your wealth portfolio. You can't do it without starting with real estate. And it really starts with the home that you own and you live in. Right? I mean, that's why home ownership is so important. And I think we all agree that it's the first time home buyer. That's where our heart is, right? We just love helping those people get into those homes. And that's really the reason why we have fun doing everything else. But our purpose is to just get as many people into houses as
Because
many
then
as
it
possible.
shows them that it is possible. It gives them hope. And then once they do it, then they really understand it and go, wow, I am building appreciation.
Yeah.
I'm not just paying a landlord. Like if they look at their mortgage statement every month and, you know, what their value is and how it's going up. And so that's such a beauty to see them to be able to do that.
Yes.
On the investment side of it, I know that, love the answer. That's usually what I tell them too. You gotta call Kim. Yeah, you gotta call Kim.
Let me tell you, let me tell you what you should do. I'm like, no, ask your attorney, ask your lender, ask your insurance person.
And then the other thing is, I always recommend when I'm talking to my investors, please talk to your tax expert, your CPA, because that makes a big difference too. So I think it has to be, you've got to have the good real estate team. Hive Nashville, thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you
Real
so
estate
much.
attorney Kim Hollingshead, great lender Tonya Esquibel, and then you got to have a great CPA. So you got to have 5 people that are navigating you through 4 to 5 people of what is the best decision to protect that investment into real estate. So I appreciate everyone coming in today. Yes, love your story. Would love to do that. It was so fun. And you guys be sure and tune in next week. If you missed the whole show, we are on podcast and we'll be launching on YouTube as well. And please sure and tune in because this is a great segment to learn about investing in real estate and also an up and coming major brokerage that's going to be here helping investors in Nashville, Hive Nashville. Thank you and have a blessed week. Did I go over?
Boom.
Great job.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kim.
Yes, that was so good. Thank you.
We are having the best day.
Yes.
Wow, you guys were awesome.
Thank you.
There's no way someone's going to hear that radio show and not think you're the best in the
Yes.
business. They're going to think you're the best. They're going to be like, I'm calling this guy right here.
Hey, we're trying to keep it
Fun
real.
people.
Well, thank you.